Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Today, we are going to be discussing should I pay down debt or invest, right? And so, this is a very, very popular topic, okay? Where a lot of times I get, young ladies, because, I work with women, right? Will come up to me and say, Kat, you know what? I really love all the content that you're writing about investing. I really love everything that you're saying about investing, but I have so much debt that I need to get rid of before I even talk about investing, right? And so this is you're not alone. If you've ever thought this, or if this is what you're currently thinking, right? You're not alone. But there are definitely different alternatives. You shouldn't have to wait till you pay down debt to start investing. And we're going to talk about that now, right? And so to true to fashion, I always talk about why am I doing this live, okay? And so, yeah, I kind of said it already earlier. The reason why I'm doing this live is because I get this all the time. A lot of times, people will put off investing because they just see this big debt number that they want to bring down, right? Where it's like, okay, this debt thing is giving me anxiety. I have X amount of credit card debt, I have X amount of student loan debt, and I have X amount of blah, blah, blah debt. And the main focus is to get rid of the debt. Meanwhile, their emergency fund is suffering and their investments are suffering, right? And so I want to have this conversation of which one happens first, which one is more important. Should you be getting out of debt or should you be investing? Okay. And so we're going to talk about that today. So as I'm waiting for everyone to trickle in, all right. All right. Let me share this live on all the different platforms that I'm in. Okay. So who am I and what makes me qualified to be here to talk to you about this topic? Okay. So my name is Katiana Kare. I am a certified money coach and I'm also a wealth coach as well. Okay. So I have different mentorships, different programs that help you go from where you are now to establishing the foundation to also doing advanced wealth strategies such as alternative investments and international investments and so on and so forth. And I'm on a mission to empower as many women as possible with the financial knowledge, right, and the financial strategies that are normally reserved for the ultra wealthy, right? I'm here to demystify the world of investing. I'm here to help you see that a lot of these strategies are a lot more simple than we're making them in our heads, okay? And so let's have a conversation real quick, okay? Let's have a conversation. Go ahead, everybody in the chat. Go ahead and tell me in the chat which one is more important. Which of the two is more important? Investing or paying down debt? Talk to me in the chat. Which of these is most important? Investing or paying down debt? Let me see. While you guys are typing in the chat, I'm going to share this on some groups that I'm in, okay? All right, to be able to get more this information to more women, okay, more people out there. Okay, so I shared it to all the different groups that I'm in. Okay, beautiful. So who can tell me? Oh, I forgot to say, if you're watching this live, go ahead and type in live, type in where you're watching from. And if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and type in replay, okay? So when you type replay in the comments, whether you're watching this on YouTube, whether you're watching this on Facebook, or, you're watching this on LinkedIn, no matter where you're watching this, it's going to help the algorithm to be able to reach more people. And the more people that we reach, the more impact that we create. And I'm going to ask you to also share the live, right? Share this with as many people as possible. Hi, Hannah, live from California. Hi, lovely. Yes, I was just in California last week. Okay. So while I wait for a couple more, I'm just waiting for a few people to join. Okay, right? While I'm waiting for a few more of you to join, I haven't really done a live or really talked to you guys about my trip last week to Beverly Hills at the investing summit. I learned so much in that investing summit, and not only did I learn, but it's a conference, right? And conferences are not just about learning; it's about building connections. And I was able to build some really, really powerful connections. I was able to be exposed to some new ideas, new investing ideas, newfound connections that will help me help my clients on a deeper level. So that was such a mind changing, mind shifting, life changing event that I have so much of here. I haven't even had time. That was loud. Okay. I hope you didn't hear that. I know Zoom cancels background noise, but that was loud. Okay. I have so much up here that it's like, oh my God, where do I start? Where I have so much to teach, right? Where do I start? And so bear with me as I give you guys in chunks, right? I'm going to give it to you in chunks. I'm not just going to blurt it all out all at once, because to be honest with you, it's going to overwhelm you. And one thing we're here to build your confidence, to make you see that, to help you see that you can do this. Okay. And so the last thing I want to do is bombard you with a whole bunch of information to where you're like, oh my God, this is a lot. I'm not going to do any of it. Okay. And so don't worry. I will be sharing a lot of the things that I learned, but I'm going to trickle it in within my lives. Okay. The second thing I wanted to discuss is a lot of you have been messaging me saying, Kat, can you tell us when you're going live next? And when I can expect for you to be live? Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I would love to say that every Monday at 6:30, I am going to go live. But the nature of the way that I run my business, because I'm boots on the ground, like actually actively investing, actively seeking opportunities for my clients, actively building relationships to take my investments and my clients' investments to the next level. That means I'm going to be at meetings, on a Monday night, out of nowhere. That means there's going to be a conference where I won't be able to come on live, on my regular 6:30 time, right? That means I will be traveling. I'll be on a plane, on my way to Africa to look at different investments in Africa. And so because of the nature of the way that I run my business, I do not have a set date and time that I can always be live. Okay. But with that being said, right, one thing about business is you have to adjust. The people what you guys are telling me is you want me to have a set schedule, right? So that you can put it on your calendar so I'll be here live. Okay. So in order to combat that, I'm actually going to be launching a podcast. Okay. So the podcast is going to give me the autonomy to be able to record the season. I'm sorry, I could record a whole season, but I can record at my leisure, and then I can release it on a designated time. That can happen, right? So I can have it, I can record it, and then every Monday at 6:30 or whatever time I decide, that a new episode of Kat's podcast is going to drop. Okay. And so in that case, you'll be able to have that set schedule. Hi, live from Plantation. Okay. So Lisa says, I'm currently paying debt except my student loans. Okay, beautiful. Okay, awesome. Nice to have you here. Okay. And so that was my little spiel. All right. So unfortunately, my lives are going to still be sporadic. Okay. That's just the nature of the business. I'm going to try to go live on Mondays as much as I can. If I can't do it on Mondays, you'll see me on Wednesdays. But unfortunately, I'm not at a place where I could give you a set time. Now, without further ado, let's talk about paying down debt versus investing. Type it in the chat if you think that investing is more important than paying down debt. Type in a 3 in the chat. Type in a 3 in the chat if you think that investing is more important than paying down debt. Type in a 0 in the chat if you feel like paying down debt is more important than investing. And type in a 2 in the chat if you think that both are important, equally important. Okay. If both are equally important. Type in a 3 if you think that investing is more important. Type in a 0 if you think that debt is more important. Type in a 2 if you think that they're both equally important. Okay. So Alicia says 3. So she's saying that investing is more important. Okay. Hannah says depends on the debt. Okay. That's not one of the choices. That is not one of the choices. Okay. So let's try that again. All right. Alicia changed her answer to 2. Okay. She typed in a 2 now. Okay. Hannah. Okay. So Hannah said 2, that they're both equally important. Okay. My mom says Two, that they're both equally important. Okay, so you guys have been following me for a while, so I think you're able to know the answer. But before I get into what is the answer, because at the end of the day, right, none of us are right, none of us are wrong, right? There is no one size fits all in finance. This is what I always tell my clients, right? There is no one size fits all. So whenever you're watching a guru or you're watching someone or someone is telling you this thing is evil, stay away from it. Stay away from that person because they have an ulterior motive. They're trying to get you into their thing and they're trying to bash everything else around it because everything exists for a reason. Everything in the finance world has a purpose. It is up to you as the individual to determine, does this apply to me? Type in a 7 in the chat if that made sense. Type in a 0 if I lost you, okay? So whenever you come across a concept, excuse me, whether it's a financial concept, whether it's a financial vehicle, whether it's a financial product, whether it's an investment, or whether it's an app, whether it's a show, whether it's a class, whatever it is that you come across, when it comes to your personal finance, right? You want to ask yourself, does this apply to me? If there's somebody's talking about 401ks are evil, do you have a 401k to begin with? If you don't have a 401k, then keep scrolling. That doesn't apply to you, right? Okay. Well, or if somebody's saying, 401ks are evil, but you have seen results in your 401k, well, keep scrolling. That doesn't apply to you because for certain circumstances, a 401k is not the best idea. All right, for certain circumstances, but for others, it is the best idea. So who am I to say that 401ks are evil? It depends on the situation, okay? And so it's fun to say, type in a 3 if you think debt is more important, type in a 0 if you think that this is important, type in this. It's interactive, but at the end of the day, none of us are right, none of us are wrong, because it depends on your personal circumstances, okay? Your unique circumstances. But let's talk about debt, for example, okay? Who can tell me in the chat, what are some pros, what are some benefits to paying down your debt first, okay? Let's say you decide, hey, Kat, you know what? I love what you're saying. You're saying, do both at the same time or do this or do that. But you know what? This debt is hanging over my head and it's giving me anxiety and I can't stop thinking about it. So I'm just going to prioritize getting down my debt first and then I'll worry about the rest later. What would be some pros? What would be some benefits to making that decision? Talk to me in the chat. What are some benefits to focusing on paying down your debt first? Talk to me in the chat. Let's hear what you got to say. Let's see what you have to say. Let me see. All right. I don't see anything in the chat yet. I know there's a lag, so you're probably typing. But while you all are typing, okay, I will talk about some of the benefits. So a lot of times, especially if you have credit card debt, okay, if you have a lot of credit card debt, because there's different types of debt, right? There is student loan debt. There is your mortgage, right? There are car loans, okay? There's business debt. There's business loans, business credit cards, payday loans, right? Owing a family member money because you borrowed money, or owing your friend money, right? There's all sorts of debt. But typically, when someone is talking about paying down debt, they're typically talking about credit card debt, okay? And so, of course, most people do not categorize, although a mortgage is a form of debt. But when people are talking about getting out of debt, they're not necessarily talking about their mortgage. They're usually talking about their credit card debts. And then second, usually the main thing for everybody is their student loans, okay? So with that, we're going to take that as an example. Okay, Dominic Cardi, my mother says, have more credit available to reduce interest rate, peace of mind. Absolutely, right? So like my mom said, right? If debt is something that personally gives you anxiety, right? It is my duty as a financial professional to help you get rid of that as fast as possible, because that is your unique personality. For me, debt doesn't give me anxiety. Okay. It'll get paid at some point. It'll get paid. And usually I'm getting into debt to be able to get into something that's going to make me more money. So I know that the debt, whatever it is that I'm borrowing, I know I'm going to use it, make more money, and then it's going to pay itself. Okay. I remember I went to a real estate conference, not a conference, but like a real estate event. Loli Joseph, one of my clients. I don't know if you're watching this, Loli. Hi, Loli, if you're watching this on the replay. All right. She invited me to this real estate event. It was a bunch of uh, uh, mortgage brokers, real estate professionals, right? Investment professionals, and so on and so forth. And there was a mortgage broker there, obviously making millions of dollars. And he said something that stuck to me. He's like, student loans are going to be there, right? Just put the student loans as part of your budget. I see so many people prioritizing their student loans, and it's like it's just part of your normal expenses, right? So fixating on that student loan. He did not believe on getting rid of the student loan first. Obviously, he's a mortgage broker, right? He's all about leveraging debt, right? I mean, hello, that's what a mortgage is, right? Okay. And so I love that he said, I just know that's part of my expenses, right? And that's how I feel about debt. It's just part of my expenses. It's not a big deal. It doesn't give me anxiety. Doesn't make me feel any type of way, but that's my personality. And so if you are the type of person where debt is important to you and it's bringing you anxiety, that anxiety is going to spill over into other things. Type in a 5 if you're with me. Okay, that anxiety is going to affect the way that you make financial decisions. That anxiety is going to affect your relationships. All right. One of the biggest reasons why relationships don't work out, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, or even a family relationship, is usually around money. Some sort of, it may not be directed around money, but usually the underlying theme is money. Trust me, I do this enough to be able to see it. I have experienced it. Okay. And so if your money's not right, a lot of other things are going to be affected. And so if you know yourself, if you know that debt brings you anxiety, seeing that high number brings you anxiety, well then it now, because it brings you specifically anxiety, right? It is your prerogative to bring down that debt so that you can lower your anxiety. Type in an 8 in the chat if you're with me. Type in a 0 if I lost you. Okay, let me know. Let me know if that made sense. All right, this is what I talked about. There is no right or wrong in this. Okay, but if it is bringing you anxiety, the first thing we want to do is to lower that anxiety. Okay, now obviously, if you and I work together, we will do some mindset work and figure out why this gives you anxiety. Okay, we get to the root of why this gives you anxiety. And when we get to the root of why and we pluck that out, now debt is no longer going to give you any anxiety ever again, right? But some of you are not ready to work with someone like myself, or it's not a priority for you to work with someone like myself, and you just want to do this on your own. So if you want to do this on your own without being able to pluck out the root of your anxiety, right? One way to mitigate that anxiety is to focus on that debt, because I know that's going to lower anxiety. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's an underlying cause. There's something going on underneath the surface. There's something going on in your subconscious that is causing that anxiety in the first place. And the only way to really get rid of it is to address the root of that. Okay. And so, Kat, what is the root of anxiety? Well, there is anxiety around debt. Well, there's a lot of different factors, but some common factors could be the way that your parents handle debt, right? What was your parents' relationship with debt? Were your parents the people that raised you, did they have anxiety around debt? Right? I'm pretty sure most of the time, if your parents had anxiety around debt, you too have anxiety around debt. Okay. Or maybe it was the way that you were raised. Maybe there was something where it was like debt was bad, right? Where you grew up in a family where it was bad to have any type of debt. Or maybe you witnessed someone in your family being reckless with debt, and you decided this will never be me. I never want to go through that, because you witnessed someone was reckless with debt, right? So there are many, many, many different factors that are causing that anxiety around debt, right? And so working with someone like myself, like a certified money coach, we are trained to find the root causes of the way that you behave around money. Then we can definitely work on that. But without doing all of that, you can always focus on your debt. Okay. I don't see any other answer. Another benefit to prioritizing debt is lowering those interest rates, right? I'd like to challenge you all right? If you could do this. This was actually part of my 5-day Quiet Wealth Challenge. If you haven't watched it, I'll put the link in the chat, after I'm done here, okay? One of the things you could do is write down all of your credit card debts, okay? So go through your purse and write down all the credit cards that you have: Capital One, Venture Card, American Express Platinum, or whatever it is, Discover, whatever. Write down all of the credit cards that you have, and I'd like for you to look up the interest rate. Right? What is the annual APR? How much is this credit card costing you? Okay. And I'd like for you to see most credit cards, if you have phenomenal credit, we're looking at 14% or lower. If you have average credit or poor credit, we're talking about 20 in the 20% and higher. So think about how much money, and I'd like for you to look at your balance. All right. Take a look at your balance. How much money do I owe on this credit card? And if they're charging me 20% APR, this is how much this debt is costing me every single year. Type in a 1 in the chat if this was clear. Okay, I'm going to repeat it. Type in a 0 if I lost you. Okay, so you're going to step 1. You're going to write down all of your credit cards, right? Write them all down, all the credit cards that you have. Step 2, you're going to look up the interest rates. Okay, the APR. How much interest am I being charged on each of those credit cards? All right. And then you're going to look at your balance on these credit cards. And I'd like for you to do the math. We actually, one of my clients, we did this exercise together because, this is just a little side note. A lot of people tell me, Kat, you give so much information for free. Why do you give so much information for free? Number one, I give a lot of information for free because half of the people watching my lives do not do any of it. They come in, they take notes, and I say they because I've been part of this. I have watched lives. I've watched, free YouTube videos where I'm like, oh, this is good. And then I don't do anything with it. Okay. And so a lot of times, right, you know what to do, but you don't get it done. Okay. And that's why people hire me, because they know they're not going to get it done on their own. And they need a professional right there holding their hands to hold them accountable. Okay. And so I had a young lady who hired me for exactly this, because she wanted to get her finances in order. She wanted to manage the money that she has now and start investing. And she had a list of credit cards that she had. She had a roughly around, I'd say about $30,000 in credit card debt. Okay. And we found out that that based on her balance, right, this was costing her thousands of dollars. Let me see. What was it, like 27? I don't remember the exact number. Let me see. 30,000 times, let's say 27%, right? Yeah, it was around 8K. Okay. So this was costing her roughly around 8,000 or more. I don't remember the exact number every single year based on how much money she owed. Right. And so, of course, not only was this giving her, anxiety, but the fact that she saw that this was costing her $8,000 or more every single year it shifted something in her, right? It caused the shift where she was like, oh my God, this was happening underneath the surface, right? This was happening in the background. Out of sight, out of mind. I didn't realize this was costing me so much. She immediately started taking action to pay down her debt. She immediately started to be creative. How can I make more money to get rid of this debt faster? Because the longer this debt stays here, the more it's going to cost me, right? I'm going to have to pay another $8,000 at next year. Another thing I told her is this $8,000 that your debt is costing you every year, what could you do with that money? If because you're spending it on paying all those credit card payments, those are adding up. You're spending it. You just don't feel it. You're not spending $8,000 all at once, so you don't feel it. For a minimum payment here, minimum payment there. 200 here, 300 there, 400 here, 500 there. Next thing you know, you paid an extra $8,000 on your debt, right? And so I told her, imagine if you had that extra $8,000 in a savings account instead. How would that affect your life? These, ladies and gentlemen, are the quiet little shifts that happens when a client works with me. That's why my clients get amazing results, because we're looking at the numbers, and looking at the numbers causes this subconscious shift that inspires you to do better. Because here's the thing about motivation. Motivation doesn't always come through for you. You're not always going to be motivated to do things. You're going to wake up one day and you're not going to feel like it, right? There's going to be some days where you just don't feel like it. But if you're inspired versus being pushed to do something, or being forced to do something. When you're inspired to do it, you'll always be in the mood to do it because you're inspired to do it, right? And so these are the types of shifts that are going to allow you to have incremental shifts in your finances. Because think about it, that $8,000 that she was putting towards all her debt, that her debt was costing her. Now, guess what? She can use that $8,000 and put towards her investments. What would life be like if you could put an extra $8,000 towards your investments? How would that affect your retirement? How would that affect your long-term goals? How would that affect your year? Right? Think about these things. These are the types of shifts, okay? Anna says yes. Okay, beautiful. I got a 1. All right. And so those are two of the main things that I'll talk about. Obviously, I can go on and on about different benefits to paying down your debt. Now let's talk about what are some benefits to investing instead of paying down debt, right? Just, hey, Kat, you know what? My debt doesn't really affect me. I'm just going to pay the minimum balance and then I'm going to put all my money towards investing. What are some benefits to that? Talk to me in the chat. What are some benefits to focusing on your investments instead of your debt? What are some benefits to that? Talk to me in the chat. I think something bit me or something because I feel something on my eye here. I have to get, I don't know. I feel like maybe a mosquito bit me or something. All right. What are some benefits? What are some benefits to focusing on investing first? Okay. While you guys are typing, I'll tell you one. Okay. One of the benefits is growing your money. Okay. All right. So having your investments, right? Focusing on debt. The thing about focusing on debt alone and neglecting your investments is you're missing out on all of that compound interest, right? And those of you who are taking, a lot of you are watching me, you've taken a lot of trainings with me in the past. And we know that compound interest, the longer you leave your investments alone, right? The longer you invest, the bigger your investments grow over time, right? And so this is why a lot of investing professionals, wealth coaches like myself will tell you, all right, the best time to start investing was 10 years ago. The second best time to start investing was yesterday, okay? Why? Because time in the market is more important than timing the market, okay? Time in the market is more important than timing the market, okay? And so the longer you are investing, the bigger and the faster your investments grow. And so the longer you're investing, the quicker you can get to your retirement. So while you're busy paying down debt could take years. Okay. Some, paying down $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 worth of debt, right? If you're only relying on one source of income, that's going to take some years to get down unless you get creative and supplement your income. And so all that time you're missing out on investing. And so if you prioritize your investments, you would have all that time in the market. Okay. Beautiful. Compound interest on your investments. That's right. Okay, mommy. Yes, you've been paying attention. Okay, beautiful. And sometimes there are some investments that can grow faster than your debt. For example, credit card debts are not a good example because credit card debts can be, as high as 20%, 27%, 30%, 33%, right? So it's going to be very hard for you to find an investment that's going to consistently give you that over time, right? And those types of investments that give you that require a lot more capital to start with, a lot more effort, and usually they're a lot more risky. So for example, cryptocurrency, right? A lot of you have been talking about Bitcoin for years now. A lot of you have doubled, tripled your money on Bitcoin, right? But think about all the risks that you took because Bitcoin was down for a whole year. And a lot of people didn't really, were like second guessing, like, ooh, what did I get myself into? Is this thing ever going to go back up? Did I lose my money? Right? All of that's anxiety that some people cannot handle, right? And so in order to get those types of investments, I need to close my window because when these motorcycles come by, it's so loud and it makes me louder. Okay. Anyways, it was a motorcycle. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that was really loud. I'll close my window next time. Okay. So what I was saying is, right, in order to make more than that 30% that your debt is costing you, you're going to have to take more risk, right? But when we're talking about, student loans, for example, that's at usually about 3 to 6%, right? When we're talking about mortgage loans, around the same thing. When we're talking about low interest debt, right? Anything that's lower than about 8%, right? Even we can even go to 10%. Anything that's lower than that, there's a lot of investments that can actually make you more than that. And so in essence, your investments can actually help you pay down your debt. I'm going to repeat that, right? Your investments can help you pay down your debt. For example, right, one of my clients, she was able to invest in a real estate syndication project, okay? And we talked about what real estate syndication is in a couple of my lives, but basically it's getting together with a group of people to buy a building together, or to buy a shopping plaza together, or to buy an apartment complex together, right? It's basically investing in a group. And she was earning about 20% yearly from that investment. Okay. So 20% yearly, she was able to invest $50,000 into that. So 20% of $50,000 is $6,000 a year. Okay. Now that $6,000 a year, she was able to put towards her student loan debt, to be able to take that 6,000, that 20% that she was getting from her 50K, she used that to put towards her student loans. So she was able to use her investments to pay down her debt. Now, this is an advanced strategy, right? Typically, you don't come up with this on your own. You have to work with someone to strategize, like a wealth strategist like myself, right? A wealth mentor like myself, or it doesn't have to be me, right? It definitely needs to be a professional who knows how to strategize that. Or maybe maybe you're well-versed enough in investing and money management to be able to do it on your own, okay? And so that could be a benefit of investing to pay down your debt, right? Prioritizing investments versus debt. Okay. So I promised that this live would not be longer than 20 minutes, and I've been talking for more than 20 minutes. So I'm going to wrap things up. Okay. Anybody else have any other benefits to investing versus debt? Okay. All right. So to conclude, right, like we talked about in the beginning, there is no right or wrong answer. All right. But the ideal situation is to be able to do both, because a lot of time people focus on their debt, on getting rid of their debt, and they have $0 in their emergency fund. And so when you get into an emergency, you got to get right back into debt to get out of it. Type in a 5 if that made sense, right? If you prioritize your debt and you neglect everything else, now we're talking about the cons, right? If you prioritize your debt and you do not prioritize savings and you do not prioritize investments, whenever, I didn't say if, when there's an emergency, because life is always going to have some sort, and an emergency doesn't need to be something traumatic, right? An emergency doesn't need to be something big. It could be, I need money right now to take care of this, right? And so if you do not prioritize your emergency fund and all you do is focus on your debt, whenever an emergency occurs, you will have no choice but to get right back into debt to get out of that emergency. And it defeats the whole point, okay? And so that's why I like, at the very least, for you to also prioritize an emergency fund. If you do not have enough money to be able to do both, to get you out of debt and save for an emergency, right? It's time to make more money. That's it. That's the solution. It's time to make more money. Well, Kat, can I cut down on expenses? Cut down on expenses. There's only so many expenses you can cut down on, because you need to eat. You're human. You need entertainment, right? You need to be able to go out with your friends. You need a roof over your head. You need your Netflix. You need your guilty pleasures, right? What exactly are you going to go cut back on, really? You're going to cut back everything down to zero, right? It's a lot easier to just go out there and make more money, okay? But that's the wealth coach in me, okay? All right, so if you do not have enough to do both at the same time, invest, and when I say invest and save, they're both in the same category. Putting money to the side to pay your future self, basically. If you cannot do both, it's time to make more money. Okay. All right, everyone. So any questions, comments? Hi, Lucien. Hi, Julie. Right. Any questions, comments, or observations? Those of you who are like, Kat, I love what you're saying, right? I'd love to talk to you about my specific financial situation and help me to prioritize whether I should be getting out of debt, prioritizing debt, or if I should be investing. Go ahead and click on the link here. I just put it in the chat. Oh, I think that's only posted for YouTube. Go ahead and click on the link and book your strategy call with me. On the strategy call, we're going to talk about your financial situation, what it is that you're currently experiencing in your finances. We're going to talk about what you would like to experience in your finances. And then we're going to strategize. We're going to create a plan. Ooh. Okay, I'm trying to put the link here in the chat. Okay, we're gonna create a plan to help you get there. Now, this plan is gonna be a skeleton, right? And so, if you're like, Kat, this plan is amazing, but I'm gonna need help implementing it, then we will talk about what it looks like for us to work together if it makes sense. Again, right? I cannot help everybody. My personality doesn't fit with everybody, and I'm only one person, so it doesn't have to be me. But if you would like it to be me, let's hop on a call together. I put the link in the chat. Book your call. We're going to talk about your situation. We're going to talk about what you want it to be, and we're going to strategize on the next steps. And if you need hand holding, if you need help with that, we'll talk about what it looks like to work with me. All right, everyone. I don't see any questions. Lucia says, always excited to learn from you, but I was busy with my book. Okay, no problem. The replay will be here and you can always watch it. All right, everyone. I got to run. I'll see you next week. Hopefully on Monday if I have the time. If not, you'll see me for sure. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Bye.